We're so grateful to have our friend Ryan King from BlueRyse with us this morning. And Ryan is someone I've really enjoyed getting to know and continuing to get to know as we've had more and more dialogue. But Ryan's going to be spending some time. This is the second in his series. And this particular class is called Playing to Win on Walmart.com, optimizing your listings to impress buyers and convert shoppers. And as is true of every one of our classes, this is intended to be interactive. So if you've got questions, just ask that you would hit the Q&A button, and we will capture those questions and then push them to Ryan as he takes breaks or at the end of the presentation. I do see that my friend Jeff Griffin is on from Infinite, and Jeff and I go way back. Jeff, if you can hear me, I hope that you and Ryan can connect afterwards. I think you guys would really enjoy getting to know one another. So without further ado, let me just say, Supplier U, for anyone who doesn't already know, we are the first of its kind membership-based supplier education platform, and we provide teams unlimited access to live instruction, such as this class, as well as a growing library of video content for just $100 per month per team. So if you're already a member, thank you so much. If you are on a trial membership and checking us out, if you've got questions, I hope you'll let us know. So with that, Ryan, again, thank you so much for making the time to do this. I know you are really, really busy as your business continues to thrive in this exciting age of retail that we're living in. So welcome, thank you, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Matt, thank you so much for having me on again. We're excited to get to walk through kind of one of these elements that can be a bit mysterious for some suppliers. And there's always room for growing and learning and tweaking when it comes to optimization of listings, especially as Walmart has pushed heavily into the omni-channel shopping experience. So this is a topic that I think every supplier should be focused on, regardless of how much you're focused on the e-commerce sales channel. What we've seen more and more when we're interacting with members of Walmart for even in-store conversations, when line reviews are coming up and you're trying to prepare your cases for increased distribution, modulars, any of those elements, what we've seen is an increased focus on Walmart.com as a channel, and specifically questions around how well your listings that you currently have are optimized. So whether you're in 1P and in-store 1P, or you're at 1P e-commerce, or you're even been asked to add your catalog to the third-party marketplace, optimization is key for a couple of reasons. We'll jump into that. A little bit about us as BlueRyse. So I'm CEO of BlueRyse. We are a full managed service agency focused exclusively on Walmart.com for third-party marketplace and 1P suppliers. We work with retail brokers, e-commerce brands, aggregators, and others to help optimize listings, as well as continue to bring strategy to bear for the multi-channel market, the e-commerce omni-channel market with Walmart. And so that's a bit of our background, coming from being brand owners ourselves in e-commerce marketplaces like Amazon and others. We've been doing this for a couple of years exclusively for Walmart, and had a great time doing it. So what we'll cover today is we're going to walk through kind of big picture real quick. What does Walmart want, really? When we think about optimizing listings, it's helpful to remember that the end in mind, and the big picture of what really, again, is Walmart after. And then we're going to talk about, what do you want as a supplier? What are you after? And how do those, as we look at those two goals, how do those goals align as we talk about listing optimization, and why optimization is key to achieving both of those goals and aligning those? We'll look at an anatomy of a listing quality score, and this is, we'll talk about what this is. This is basically the quantifiable score that Walmart provides when we talk about optimizing a listing. We'll talk about, what does optimizing mean? We're doing it for Walmart's algorithm and its scores, but we're also ultimately doing it for customer traffic and conversion, which leads to greater sales. We're going to talk about where to optimize, meaning how, which tools would you go into depending on what your position is. If you're in the 1P side, utilizing Retail Link, or if you're in the third-party marketplace, or regardless of either one, if there's third-party softwares you can use to do so. And then we'll talk about those. And then ultimately, we'll leave some time for Q&A as well. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. So this is very basic, but at a very basic level, what is Walmart after, really, when we talk about the e-commerce omni-channel? They're after high quality product assortment on the marketplace that attracts further shoppers. There's a lot of news, a lot of press out there about Walmart going head to head with Amazon. And while, yes, it is a competition with other marketplaces, this is just a good strategy for Walmart in general, recognizing a trend towards digital purchase, and not only a trend towards digital purchase for ship to home and just purely e-commerce, but they've seen the trends on how digital is impacting in-store purchase behavior. And so their goal is to grow that marketplace with a broad assortment of items that are of high quality, that attract, therefore, more shoppers and allow for more purchase in-store as well as online. And they're looking for consistent shopper experience that drives sales. So they're looking not just for high quality, but they have their standards in place so that when a shopper goes online, they can know what to expect from product to product, listing to listing, and quickly make their purchase decisions. This has only become more important as shopping has moved progressively more and more to mobile devices. And so the attention span of a shopper when they're looking at a digital content site is much shorter than when they're surfing through the desktop or whatever it might be. So consistency and excellence is key in listings. And that's one thing to think about when optimizing a listing. They're looking for accurate, complete content that supports that confident purchase. And so this goes in line with consistency, but they're also after repeat purchase. And so the name of the game here in optimization is not just making your product look as good as it can, but being as accurate about your product as possible, because you're giving a digital representation of a physical product. And so you're trying in a digital environment to make it feel as close as possible as to a customer walking up to the shelf and picking it up, putting that product in their hands and evaluating it in comparison to others. And so not just consistency, going with the guidelines that Walmart's established, not just high quality, but accuracy, so that shoppers are satisfied when they've made that purchase and will repeat purchase as they do. This is one statistic, and I quoted this in the last session I did as well. There was a podcast episode that's featured Seth Dallaire as he was talking about Walmart Connect and the advertising component that Walmart has rolled out for 1P and 3P in the digital space. And what's interesting about this survey is it speaks to the question, if I'm investing online, what impact does that really have for me as a supplier in store? And how does that align with Walmart? And so there was a survey conducted of Walmart shoppers and their use of the Walmart app. So when we think digital marketplace with Walmart, it is online. So e-commerce, walmart.com, you can get to that through a desktop, you can get through that mobile web, or you can do it through the Walmart app. All three are directing to the same place. And so this is asking questions of the shopping behavior. This is in line with research online, buy offline as a growing trend among shoppers. It's been growing significantly since prior to 2014 or so, but it's continuing to be adopted broadly. 82% of shoppers surveyed used Walmart app to shop for food and beverage while they were in store. Their behaviors included looking for new products. So rather than just perusing the shelves, entering in search terms, we'll use the example sports drink a lot in this presentation today. But so instead of just thinking, I'm going to walk around and see what sports drinks are there, they're looking up words like sports drink to look for new products. They're reading the reviews and seeing what social proof, what did people like or not like about those. And they're checking for potential savings price-wise. And so those behaviors are consistent, and with a majority of those that were surveyed using the app. Majority of them used the app 2 to 4 times while they were in the store. And so this just simply reinforces the reality that e-commerce experience, even if your goal is purely in-store distribution, e-commerce experience and customer experience online cannot be ignored. And so making a conscious decision to invest in optimization for your online listings, I believe, is crucial for your continued performance as you move forward. So what do you want ultimately as a supplier? You want sales growth due to increased traffic and conversion online and in store. So you want more shoppers. You want more shoppers visiting. You want more shoppers actually purchasing. And you want that to ideally increase your sales online as an incremental opportunity, but also in store as you see increased throughput in each store that you're in, so you can continue to maximize your opportunity as you partner with Walmart. You want to demonstrate product quality and performance to Walmart merchants. So like we mentioned before, this has increasingly become a standard point of discussion with your Walmart merchant. It can range anywhere from just a initial set of questions to move on to further discussion about your category and your products and your assortment, or it might be a major focus point of your conversations. But more and more, we've seen conversation around how your products are performing online. And so we're going to talk about what are the couple of the key metrics that are easy wins relatively to demonstrate to your merchant as you're preparing for those conversations that you are a great supplier partner and you're investing in this omni-channel experience. So for you as a supplier, increasing traffic and conversion, this is where you align with Walmart in many ways on the online side. This is a bit of a simplistic view, but this may be, if you're not familiar with how e-commerce works, I just wanted to cover the bases real quick. Ultimately, everything comes down to traffic onto a website. This is Walmart.com. And when you have traffic, someone's searching for a term like sports drink, you want the listings in the search results page are going to show up in the grid format. Your goal is to capture that traffic that's already coming to Walmart.com to get click through to your listing when they see your listing pop up amongst the 40 or more results that appear on each page. And then you want them to convert once they've clicked on your listing to actually convert, meaning add to cart and purchase once they've seen your listing. That in turn increases the signals of your product's relevancy. So if you showed up under sports drink and you were in position 20 on the website and they clicked on yours out of all the choices they had, and they ultimately purchased yours, you're sending signals back to Walmart, their algorithm, that your product is relevant for the word sports drink. What that does in turn over time is more and more people do that. And that's you have a click-through rate, you have a conversion rate that is measured by Walmart's algorithms. That increases your relevancy score, which in turn increases your ranking. So you were position 20, the more people that click through on sports drink, you have the likely you're going to increase higher in those rankings. A goal to aim for is to get in the top 8 positions, if possible, on Walmart.com. That's what they call above the fold when we're talking about digital commerce, relating back to the old newspaper days or magazine days. The opportunity to have your ad visible to the most eyeballs, because statistics vary, but are close to 80% of digital shoppers do not move past page 1 when they're looking for their options online. And so it's important to be on page 1, ideally. And best positioning possible would be in the top 8 positions. But this is kind of a flywheel that continues to reinforce, as you can see, with multiple search terms, multiple keywords. But this is the impact for increased traffic and conversion. Now, why this matters for the marketplace on Walmart versus, say, your own direct-to-consumer website is that any traffic that you may even also bring to the platform through other advertising, directing traffic to the site, those things reinforces the cycle. But Walmart has its own traffic base. And so there's over, I think the stat I most recently saw was over 120 million unique monthly visitors to Walmart.com right now. And so if they're already coming, when you have your product rank higher in those positions, you're capturing some of that traffic that Walmart itself is already bringing to the platform. And so it reinforces that cycle as you rank higher and capture incrementally more sales than you might with your own native audience. So what does it look like ultimately, though, to demonstrate product performance to buyers? So buyers are looking at that as well. They want to see that increased performance, increased sales. Those are clear metrics that are going to be evaluated. But one of the other maybe tangible metrics that's easier to track and achieve early on to show those initial signals is what Walmart provides as a listing quality score. What this is just basically a quantifiable metric that Walmart provides back to you as a supplier. You can get this through Item 360. You can get this through, if you're on the third-party marketplace, your growth opportunities in Seller Center, or if you're using a connected content partner, you can get this through different features there as well. But this content score is, this quality score is based on your content and discoverability, which is your title, images, description, your key features, your bullet points, as well as your reviews and ratings. On the third-party marketplace, this also includes your offer, which is your price point, your speed of delivery, if you've had any late deliveries or any other defects in that regard. If you're on the 1P side, the offer score is not part of the equation directly. So it comes down to what's on your listing ultimately, what's behind your listing with the attributes, and what's going on with reviews and ratings in your scores there. Like I said earlier, because Walmart wants to attract more shoppers and capture more market share in the omnichannel experience, what they want is consistent and broad assortment with excellent quality overall. And so one thing they're doing is merchants are talking a lot about your listing quality score for your products, even if they're 1P. And so good frame of reference is average quality score. This varies a bit and might be higher now as there's been a major push by Walmart in this regard. The average quality score is around 60% of a listing quality score. Walmart's benchmark, kind of where you might get a slight ranking boost, is about 80% listing quality score. But what the target we recommend every supplier go for with every listing is 95% or higher. We're seeing this more in the asks directly by merchants that they want to see 95% or higher. Some are saying 100% or higher, 100%. 100% can be very difficult to achieve, but 95% or higher is a great target to aim for. One note I'll give here is that when we're talking about listing quality scores, in the ideal world, these scores are measuring the exact same things that your style guide, according to your product category that Walmart provides, values. So the content team internally at Walmart is still working right now to align those two. So a style guide is simply what it sounds like. Per product type, it gets very granular about what is the ideal anatomy of your title, your description, what should your images look like, all of those elements. And that's ideally what Walmart wants you to aim for. Right now, we're still in a period, though, where the algorithm that measures this listing quality score does not perfectly align with style guides. And so that becomes a bit of a conversation maybe with your merchant as to if you're trying to align to style guide, if your quality score is suffering as a result, what they would prefer in this regard. But the easiest metric to aim for right now is that 95% or higher on your listing quality score. So what's the anatomy of that score? We're going to look through a couple of listings as examples to kind of highlight these. Content discoverability, which is images, title, description, key features, attributes, and ratings and reviews. So we're going to break this down one by one here as we go through this. Images is the first one. So with images, there's a lot of different criteria here, and these are generally apply across all categories except for a couple of outliers like fashion and some others that have different resolution requirements and those things. But you can find those again in a style guide. There's a URL here at the bottom of the page. It's an article that helps you, will guide you to not only these specifications here, but would also give you additional links if you're a logged in user to get to style guides as well, if you're curious. So at least 5 images is what we would recommend. Walmart would say, depending on category, they might say at least 2. But reality is, for best shopper experience, at least 5. What you're looking for here is you want this image stack on the left here to at least be full to this extent. And we'll talk about rich media. I'll make a note about that later. But one note about rich media, which includes videos and item 360 spin. I'll just make the note right now. If you do have videos are highly recommended. Videos would show up as position number 2 in this image stack on the left with the little play button. You would see an additional play button next to the magnifying glass down here at the bottom of the feature image here as well for customers to click on. And that's a great tool for conversion. But at least 5 images in JPEG format, high quality files, so 8 or higher if you're using Photoshop or software. RGB is color space, 8 bits per pixel. Pixel dimensions. This is one. Some of these others are highly technical, but this is when someone asks what should the resolution be, what the dimensions. Walmart's now saying 2200 by 2200 pixels is ideal. Their minimum that you need to have, and I've seen various numbers out here between 1000 by 1000 in older materials, but this is what we'd recommend as well, is that at minimum aim for 1500 by 1500 pixels. And that's what engages the automatic zoom feature. So if I were to roll over this picture with my mouse as a shopper, it would automatically kick into zooming closer in so I could see. And so that's been proven as a positive conversion metric feature. So zoom capability is standard. It's required basically by Walmart for quality here. So 15 by 1500 at minimum, 2200 by 2200 is now what they're recommending. Swatch panels. Now, if you have, in this case, this is a variation, there's opportunity for variations. They would come up under here, under the Buy Now buttons, and you can see this image here, this small little thumbnail. If you have multiple variations, the pixel dimensions for that is 50 by 50. In some categories and some product types, your variation will be just a swatch, a color swatch versus an image. But again, that'll vary based on style guide. Resolution 300 pixels per inch, and maximum file size 5 megabytes. Square is what they're looking for each of these images. You'll see naturally on these outlines, they show up as squares. So square is ideal. And the recommended file name, if you're going to upload or any of these, would be for using your G10 for that. Now, one other note that's not on these bullets here is, and we can include this in some other point. If you're having trouble, if you're trying to upload images, Walmart typically requires you to upload them by URL. And so if you're wondering, where can I upload those, or where can I get a URL for my images? There's various resources out there. One simple one we recommend is a free service. There's a free tier of this service for a digital asset manager program. It's a website called Cloudinary. And Cloudinary is great. You simply upload your photo. It gives you the URL you need. That works very well, and you can upload those. And so we've seen that a lot in the supplier support groups and others, people asking those questions. And so our experience has been Cloudinary is a great one if you're looking for a quick and easy solution to get the URLs to upload images. We'll jump into a few examples here. I'm going to toggle between kind of what are the specifications and what are some good practices, and images specifically is where we'll focus in on some best practices. So in this one, it's a image on white is what Walmart's looking for that hero image. You want to get it as cropped as closely as possible to the white edges. So if in this case, it's a vertical type image and there's, you can see very little white space above the top of the image, a little bit more below. You could actually, in this case, get a little bit cropped in a little bit more around this bottle. And the result will be the more you crop it in, the larger that this item is going to appear on the search results page. Now, the key element about a primary image would be your goal is, again, when we talked about that flywheel, you've got traffic and you're looking for the next step is click through, people to identify your product from all the products in Search Grid. And so the first image at best practice is your first image should be stylized in such a way that it's accurate and clear and abiding by style guides, but also enough trying to identify how do I interrupt their pattern as they're scanning across all of these things. Your goal for your primary image is click through. You want to get the shopper to click on your listing instead of everybody else's listing. So one of those main features on the initial search results page is your main image. Another one, and that's one of the major drivers. Another one is your title, and another one is your review count. But image is one of the biggest ways you can do this and set yourself apart from those who are appearing next to you on that digital shelf. A second example here, this is their second image, and this is a great secondary practice here. They, in this case, they have new packaging. So this is a great way to call out the variety of packaging here. Simple, intuitive. I would say in here, one thing I would possibly add, even though this is a clean representation of an image, you can use in your secondary images beyond your primary image, after your primary image, you can use callouts. What I would probably test here would be actually not making the shopper guess what this image is meant to mean, although it's fairly intuitive. It wouldn't hurt in a stylized way to simply add a small little badge or small little call out here in text saying packaging may vary, something like that. Don't be afraid to use simple text that, again, you're after ease of purchase. So from your first image, after your first image, beyond those images, your first image goal is click through from the search grid. Every other image from there, your goal is to get conversion. Once they're on your site, to get conversion. So one way to think about this and the rest of this, the image stack from there, is not just showing angles of your product, your front, your back, the side, in those ways. There are some requirements according to Style Guide for certain front and back and those things. But I would encourage you to think creatively about more and more as shopping is a visual experience. How do you tell the story of the benefits of your products, not just features? Features are important, but what are the benefits to the shopper? And so you're trying to convince them. Think of your image stack from position 2 on down as telling that story of what are the benefits to the shopper that are going to lead them to converting, to leading them to adding your product to cart. And so I'm saying that because there's a few other examples here that do a good story, a good job of that in their lifestyles and other ways. So this is an example, and here's one of those. So this is a image. This is their third image of a call out. It's a lifestyle type image, but it's calling a benefit. Not just the feature. They're not going into all the chemicals and those things, but they're calling the benefit out to the shopper. It's helping prevent, protect, and nourish dry skin. So that's meeting a felt need of a shopper. If it's the right alignment with what the shopper needs, this is going to incentivize them to purchase, reinforce that buying decision. Here's another lifestyle image where they've put the product placed in the image. Obviously, this is not organically placed there. This is after in digital effects. This is okay. This is showing, again, you're not just giving what this is not is just a picture of someone putting on lotion. They're utilizing this space well by adding, again, another feature / benefit that is clinically proven to moisturize dry skin for 24 hours. So they're adding authority in this image, again, speaking to benefits for the shopper. So that's an excellent use of that third image in the stack there. Some others, this is a simple image. It doesn't have to be complex, and you don't have to invest in a ton of lifestyle imagery, but you can use these kind of as well. They're quick and easy to understand, fragrance-free and non-greasy. This is a great one. This is a combination of a lifestyle type image, but it's also here calling out broader assortment. And so they're featuring two moisturizing oat formulas here. And so they're calling the shopper's attention beyond just the product on this listing, but to other options that might be on the digital shelf as well. And this is an excellent way to feature more products, especially right now with some of the limited rich media features. As Walmart's working to get the rich media, which is, again, video, 360 view, feature layouts, which are kind of the editorial further down the page, as well as comparison tables, those things. Without a comparison table or that editorial space on the listing, using your image stack to cross-sell is a great idea if you could do it. So this is a great implementation of that. Another one, clinically proven to improve skin's health look in 1 day. So one thing you cannot do is make unproven claims. So they're doing a good job here of they're showing they have proven this. So they're not just saying it makes your skin marvelous in 1 day. They're showing they have authority to claim that by some type of clinical proof. Again, another example of cross-selling across the assortment here. This is a great way to designate it. They not only just showed the products here, but they showed it in subcategories. So it's very clear visually to see with these added tags here of body and face. There's a collection here that I might need to consider buying multiple units of, if I'm thinking about my body, but specifically for my face, there's other things I might consider purchasing. So this is a great way to feature those in that product listing. And the final one here in this stack, and there were so many good ones on this one, this one, again, featuring social proof. We'll talk about reviews and ratings in a moment, but featuring and highlighting this social proof here is a great opportunity as well. They're just pulling up a good review and featuring it here. On one other of their listings, I did see that they used another example on a slide of a Amazon.com shopper and said, purchase from Amazon.com. I would actually not recommend that, because Walmart is explicit in a lot of their style guides and just their desires, and it makes sense. They don't want mentioning of other marketplaces, if at all possible, because they want to maintain the shoppers within their ecosystem. So these would be fine. You could probably even pull in a review from your own listing if you already have them and feature it in a image like this as well. Okay, so that's a overview of images, and that's one of the key elements, and it's one of the most influential. And I would argue it's one of the ones that's often an afterthought and not invested in, but it's worth every bit of investment. If you think about how your products are facing on a shelf for 1P suppliers, you care about how it's presented, and you invested a lot into what that looks like in packaging. Your images are that equivalent digitally. And so it's worth investing in to do it as best as possible. One thing I'll say on this one, going back to this, if you want to see these listings, I put the URL. This is a URL for this 18-ounce one down here at the bottom of the page, and you can go to that and it'll show you. You can flip through that one if you'd like. Keywords. So talking about keywords, and this goes to content and discoverability with the copy on your listings. The question is, you want to optimize for length of title. Do you have the brand name, those kind of things? And description, you're wanting length and complexity, number of bullet points, all those things. You're optimizing for that, but you're also optimizing to try and capture as much of that traffic as possible on the website. So how do you know what are the keywords you want to put in your listings so that you capture as much of that product, that search volume? Earlier, we used the example of sports drink. If sports drink is in your category, if you're a close competitor, or if you are Gatorade, or you're a close competitor with Gatorade or Powerade, one of these, you want to make sure sports drink, if it's a high volume keyword for Walmart, you want to put that in your title. You want to put it in your description and key features. But the question is simply, how would you know which keywords to emphasize? Well, you might know from your own traffic on your own website. You might know from your experience if you're selling on Amazon. And it's very similar on Walmart, but you can identify top terms using multiple tools. One tool that's out there that's been historically primarily used by native e-commerce brands, it's a tool called Helium 10. There's another one called Jungle Scout. There's several of them out there. This is one, just happens to be one we use both for 1P suppliers and third-party marketplace sellers. But it has several tools in there. Most of it is focused on Amazon, but they're one of the first movers into the Walmart space beyond some others that have been in Walmart for a while. But this is a simple one for research. You can, it's a monthly subscription, but you can do research. One of their tools is called Magnet, in which you would simply enter the search term you're looking for. It'll populate out the search volume, estimated search volume on Walmart compared to Amazon and others. They would claim a 93% accuracy in their search volumes for these terms. And so you can begin your search there and figure out which are the other potential related keywords. I would sort by search volume on Walmart to identify that. If you have other products you're trying to figure out how are they ranking well and what are search terms, what are the terms that are driving the most sales for them, most likely. The other tool that they have on Helium 10 is called Cerebro. And this one is simply you enter in the product ID number of that product. I'll show you how to find that product ID on any listing in just a second. But that product ID, you drop it in here. You can drop up to 10 different product IDs, so you can grab the most likely ones you want to emulate or copy, drop them in here and do the same kind of search, and then sort it and find what are those keywords you want to make sure you definitely have in your listing as you optimize the copy and everything we're about to talk about. this is the example of how to find that product ID. On this URL, you can see this is the basic structure. You're going to have always that prefix, walmart.com/IP/ and it's going to have kind of some basic keywords in there that are standard. And then after those keywords there, you're going to see a slash in typically this 8 to 9 digit number here, identifier. That is your product ID right there for Walmart purposes, walmart.com purposes. And so you take that ID and you can drop it in and do this research. Another great tool, one we use as well, and it's a great company that's been involved in the Walmart space for a long time, is SKU Ninja, as part of the software connected to White Spider that provides a lot of services as well. They have what they call a prioritized keyword list, and they will give you a weighted list. They won't give you the exact search volumes, but they do have access to data that gives them a very clear picture of what the search volumes are. They in turn are able to give customers or those working with them and using their software a weighted priority. So your top in this example, if sports drink was the most searched keyword, they would give that a rank of 1,000. And then every subsequent keyword that they've put together on their list is weighted against that 1,000. It's, the next one maybe is 800 versus 1,000. So it gives you a sense of what the most important keywords are that are driving sales in that category. And so that's another great tool to investigate. Going to title is the next one we're looking at. And I'm not going to go through a lot of best practices here because it's fairly straightforward. But title is simply, here's the specs you're looking for. They're looking for a very structured organization. This structure varies based on your product category, product type. But this is a simplified version. I didn't want to include all the little potential options in this beauty category, in this skincare category. But basically, it's a combination of brand first, always brand first. And then in this example, product line, a couple key features, skincare benefits, and size, and maybe pack quantity, those kind of things. You'll see those in Style Guide. Again, there's a link here at the bottom that goes to some of these standards. In this, one major call out is if you already are listing on Amazon, you can't simply copy titles over from Amazon and put them onto Walmart. When we're getting into the written copy, Walmart is heavily focused on SEO, search engine optimization, and their focus is to optimize as much as possible for platforms like Google, and Google's one of the primary ones. And Google's algorithm is looking for original content. So if you have the same content on multiple sites, if you simply take your title from your own website, put it on Amazon, and then you also put it on Walmart in the same structure, same order, everything, what happens is Google will not rank those additional sites well because it sees it as duplicate content. And so everything Walmart's looking for and what you should be looking for is driving new traffic from Google to Walmart by having original good content on each of your listings. So you can use Amazon or your own site as maybe a starting point, but it should be formatted and unique for Walmart would be one of my biggest recommendations. Amazon, Walmart is also looking for different lengths, different criteria. So max of 90 characters typically in a title. Don't include information about your company except for your brand name. Omit special characters, and don't give sales examples, call outs, free shipping, anything like that. Their promotional language like that. And then you don't want to include various product attributes that are, if you have variations, you want to make sure that title is not overly specific, and so that each variation makes sense here. Marketing phrases, you want to avoid the best-selling, high quality, those kind of, and any verbiage that refers to other marketplaces like we've talked about, which makes sense. So those are the basic criteria. If you want to get into the weeds of those, again, you're going to want to look at your own specific style guide, and it's fairly exhaustive there. One last thing I'd say here on title with regards to optimization in search. You're going to get, for any keyword that you want to rank for, that's where you can put it in the features, benefits, those things. Those keywords any keyword you can get in that title, although it's limited real estate there. Pick your top most important keywords. And the algorithm gives an extra emphasis on keywords in your title, maybe up to about 3 times as much ranking power in the title than in other places on your listing. But that's an important place. That's the most important place for keywords if you're trying to go after certain ones. The next one would be, here is your short description. Sorry, this is not advancing for some reason. Or your short description, which is the product details. And in this section, this is a paragraph form of your description. And in here, sorry, I'm trying to manually advance this here. There we go. In here, the short description, max of 60 to 100 words here. That's a word count based, not character based. HTML formatted, and you want it to be in sentence case. So no bullet points here. You do some good practices here is you do want to repeat the product name within the body of this description somewhere, because you're probably going to repeat that probably 3 times. In your title is where your product name is going to be. It's going to be in your short description here, this paragraph format, and it's also going to repeat in your key features. And that has SEO implications for Google and other search engines. So that's one of the reasons why you do it. But you want to do all these things. You want to make sure it's unique. We've talked about it already, but not copied from other sites, and it's useful for customers. So you don't want to keyword stuff. You don't want this to be illegible. You're not writing this for a computer program to scan and then rank you for. This should be driving, again, purchase behavior for the customer. So it should be concise and clear about your product, and drive towards clarity for your shopper and easy to read. So don't include text like free shipping or discounts, those things, or that you mention other retailers as well. Next one would be key features. And again, I'm having a quick issue. We're going to force this advance and go back. Key features, here we go. Long description is also how this is referred to, but key features, these are basically bullet points. And so in this section, you want 4 or more bullet points here. And here's some best practices, what they're looking for as well. So begin each one with a capital letter, and you're not going to give any ending punctuation. You should put your product, this one doesn't do it. This is where this product is falling short here, but ideally your product name should be repeated in the first line. So above where this first bullet starts, you can add text here without it being a bullet. You just don't format it to be a bullet. And you should repeat your product title again above the bullet list, again, for SEO purposes. But beyond that, everything else in here should be bulleted. And then write in fragments. Don't repeat your paragraph information. This should be unique content. Your top 3 bullets are going to possibly show up as well in what they would call a shelf description. And so you want your most important ones to show up in the top. And also recognize when you're editing or optimizing for mobile, that in the mobile instances, the first 50 or so characters are what's going to show before it gets trimmed off automatically. And so your most relevant keywords, most relevant features or benefits should be towards the front of these bullets if you're making them a bit longer. Avoid special characters, and that's some of the best practices here on this section. Next one is, I keep having to do this because something's weird about my transitions here. Attributes. So on attributes, try one more time, see if I can get it to pull up. For attributes, I'll say this I don't need any bullet list for this. Attributes are determined by your product type. And so these are the backlist, on the back end of your listing, when it asks for things like size, age group, weight, all these other elements. This is critical for filling out. While this is maybe not the thing that shoppers are going to see right away, most shoppers don't scroll to a listing to look at the specifications usually, but the impact of these is significant. What happens here is these backend attributes are used to create the browsing filters, the browsing path, what Walmart would call facets. So if you were looking for, again, in a sports drink analogy, if you looked at sports drink, but you wanted sports drink low sugar might be a backend attribute as a feature. And so if someone's browsing for sports drinks and they want to filter for low sugar sports drink, if you don't have that completed in the back end, you're not going to show up and you're missing on that browsing traffic. Not only that, but this does impact your relevancy for just general search terms. If they just typed in low sugar sports drink at the top when they're searching, and you don't have that in the back end of those things, you may not show as relevant for that search query. So backend attributes, fill them out as much as possible. This also impacts that listing quality score. This is part of that content and discoverability score. And this is often one of the ones that trips up most suppliers when they're trying to figure out why their score isn't higher. It's because they have not filled these out as robustly as possible. So we'd recommend going beyond just the required attributes, but even some of the ones that seem optional. Go ahead and spend the time to fill them out and maximize the opportunity there. Advancing to the next slide here. The ratings and reviews. And so ratings and reviews, social proof, user-generated content here. This is the way to reinforce the buying decision. So as I mentioned earlier, this influences click-through rate on your listing from the search grid. When that initial search happens, the better your reviews are, the average rating of a 4.5 or higher is what we recommend here. While for the algorithm's sake, you might get 100% on ratings reviews if you have one review at a 4.5 or higher, what we see merchants asking for increasingly is likely 10, probably 20 or more reviews is what they're looking for. And that bar is going to keep rising as the overall review counts on Amazon, on Walmart grow. And so you want to have a higher review count, enough basically to reinforce the buying decision, again, with confidence that they're purchasing the right product and that they're going to receive the experience that they're seeing on the listing as accurate. And so for review counts, there's various ways to build these reviews. And so without my bullets showing up here for some reason, a couple ways to have these reviews on your page. If you're already on your own site, if you're already working with a service like BazaarVoice or Yotpo, one of those, they have in their partnerships with Walmart the ability to syndicate any reviews that you have with them directly to your site. And so that's something to engage with them on. Again, if you don't have those reviews already hosted in those ways, other ways to generate reviews. And so you can generate reviews through sampling. Walmart has their Spark Reviewer program. Again, that's in partnership with BazaarVoice. And so you can have those, you can work with BazaarVoice directly to sample products in exchange for review, honest reviews. Those will show up as a incentivized review on Walmart. Incentivized review may have a negative sounding connotation based on Amazon. But in Walmart, there are completely legitimate ways to do this by sampling, and they're endorsed by Walmart and they're curated well. So it's a good practice if you need to build review counts on your listings. The other one is Field Agent, and we love using Field Agent. That's the one we use the most when we're working with suppliers. And that, again, they have ability to have shoppers purchase either in store and then leave a review online, or purchase online and leave a review online if your products are available for online e-commerce delivery. So those are some ways we recommend doing that. But that one's key. And again, the metric we're typically encouraging suppliers to go to, or we're hearing directly from merchants that they're looking for, is 20 reviews or more per product. and to have those at a 4.5 or higher, ideally, is the average rating you're looking for there. There we go. So this one's actually working now. There we go. So we talked about syndication and generation bizarre voice and field agent. Great. So where do you go, lastly, before we get to some Q&A maybe, where do you go to optimize? So on the 1P side, within Retail Link, you have the Item 360 app. And so if you're looking to optimize your listings and find out where these backend attributes are, how to update these, and you're wanting to do maybe more than one listing at a time, then you can go under Item 360 to Maintenance. And under Maintenance Hub, you can upload, or you'd input the number of, you can pick which product ID type you want to use, either the Walmart item number or your G10 UPC, drop them all into that box below, and you can download a spec sheet. Spec sheets are what Walmart uses as, this is their term for the Excel file that will pull all the attributes and all the feature, all those elements off the back end that's on your listing. And you can edit in an Excel file in bulk. And it may have many tabs based on which product types each of your products fall under. And then you can resubmit that by clicking upload. And so you see the upload button in the bottom left. You can track the behavior of it or track whether or not those changes have been accepted by looking at the activity manager option on the left here of Item 360 and see what's going on in progress there. If you're in the, let me go back and see if I have anything else here. Yeah, that's handles that. So if you're on third-party marketplace, and maybe you have some of your catalog assortment on third-party marketplace, to edit your listings, what you would do is go under growth opportunities, and you would go to listing quality. And under listing quality, you'll have a list of your products. You can click on a detail button to the right of it, and this is the page that'll pop up. If we were to scroll down from here, then what you would see, you'd see a product type, which is that subcategory that determines your back-end attributes and those things. If you scroll down, you would see each of the fields and the ability to list those or to edit those, and you can edit them there. You can also go to, I believe I have it here as well. If you're looking to do this in bulk, you can also, it's just not working. So there's a feature on the items page. If you go to, oh, here we go. I have it listed here. Sorry. If you go to items, there's an opportunity to update items in bulk. It'll show up in the top right of the screen. And again, it's going to be a similar to what you see on the Item 360 as far as placing your product identifiers in there and downloading a spec sheet and then submitting it through that same page is the way to do that one. Third way to do this would be if you're going to use a connected content partner. Sorry, I'm having this hop back and forth because they're just, the slides aren't showing. Connected content partners. This one is SKU Ninja, connected with White Spider here. And SKU Ninja is a great software. They have a lot of different levels of features. We utilize them a lot in our agency on the software side. And you can connect them in via API. They'll connect in. And if you don't want to manage items, whether you're 1P and having to manage items in Item 360 or your third-party marketplace, you can work with your listings through a connected content partner. SKU Ninja is an example. There's several others out there. We just happen to really enjoy using their software. And this allows you to get a lot of these listing quality scores. You can edit the various attributes and elements of your listing directly through their software as well, if you don't like the interface directly through Retail Link. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and there it is. It's finally working there. And you can see the website there of how to access that if you're interested. I'm going to stop there and see if we have any questions.
Hey, Ryan, great stuff. I'm always amazed when you join us, just how much, just how generous you are and how much you give away. So I appreciate you being thorough and sharing so much with us today. We do have a question from our friend Jeff. Again, Jeff, so glad that you're here. It says, with respect to the content scorecard, and he had to step away, so he acknowledges you may have already covered this, but just for everyone's sake, with respect to the content scorecard, what weight or scores are given to product imagery? And do you have examples of the very best scores given today?
That's a great question. And so we don't have a specific percentage that I could call out right now of what weight the images are given and score. The content, what I would say is reviews and ratings often have a higher impact on score, as well as backend attributes actually can contribute to as high as above 60% maybe of that overall content and discoverability score. So while images are very important, it highlights the impact of those backend attributes, because if you think about, the images are key to converting once someone has seen your listing, but the backend attributes are key to even getting the traffic to your product in a search grid. And so backend attributes are one of the key elements there, as well as the copy and the title. Title is one of the most important ones there, as well as description and key features. As far as the images go, the key that the algorithm is looking for, it's not necessarily getting down into the weeds of how well formatted is each picture and those things. It's looking for, do you have at least, and it depends on category, at least 2 images, and ideally 4 to 5 images. So we see the content team is asking for typically a minimum of 4 to 5 images, but the algorithm might score you at 100% if you have 2 or more, depending on the category. But so it's a bit of a binary on the image score. But the examples, if you get a chance to rewatch, I did walk through some examples of best practice. So beyond thinking just algorithm, but when we're thinking about algorithm in terms of the feedback loop of enhancing conversion, increasing your conversion rate, that's how you're going to enhance the algorithm to show you as relevant and show you and rank you higher. That comes down to best practice at customer conversion. And again, some of the, just to recap briefly, I would say it's first image is image on white with minimal white margins around your product to make it appear as large as possible, and some sort of way to enhance a pattern interrupt as people are shopping quickly and clicking on yours above everybody else's. Every other image from there should give further description, whether it's ingredients, depending on your category and those kind of things, product in use, there's different style guide requirements there, or really anything else you can do to tell the story. Think of it as a storyboard, telling a story frame by frame of the benefits to the customer that are going to encourage them, reinforce their buying decision to add to cart and purchase.
Yeah, great stuff. Ryan, talk a little bit. So a couple of questions I had is just, I want to talk about low-hanging fruit, because you interact with a lot of companies, and one of the things, you didn't take a bunch of time at the very beginning. I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about what BlueRyse does and kind of your sweet spot with respect to, size, stage, category of companies that you work with. So talk a little bit about that, but talk about low-hanging fruit, the businesses, the brands that you're working with. Maybe what are some of the most common mistakes that you're seeing when it comes to e-commerce optimization, Walmart.com, and then talk about some of the most common things that you're able to do to make the biggest difference the most quickly.
Sure, absolutely. So I'll start with a bit broadly in the context of what we do. So again, our specialty is e-commerce optimization. And our skill sets come from optimizing over combined between myself, my co-founder, and other members of our team, over 20 years of experience of optimizing by building brands in marketplaces, specifically Amazon and others, multiple years now in the Walmart marketplace as well, applying those same strategies in unique ways to Walmart's ecosystem to maximize how Walmart evaluates those items. And so what our sweet spot, to put it that way, would be in increasing and maximizing the opportunity for visibility in .com. So we partner with On the third-party marketplace side, we do full account management. We do everything from helping set up seller accounts to setting up the listings from scratch. We'll typically take content from websites or other marketplaces, those things for those products, and adapt it uniquely for Walmart for the keywords as well as for SEO purposes. And we don't do the original image creation, but we'll either work with other firms we partner with on that if that's needed, or work directly with the brands. Usually they have those assets on hand, and we'll advise on how to augment those, how to edit those for those kind of call outs, those different ways to call out the features and benefits. So image optimization in that regard. So typically what we'll do is we'll work with emerging brands. We work with larger brands as well. On the 1P side, typically, so half of our clients are probably native e-commerce brands, typically 7 figures or more that they've been doing in other marketplaces. And then on the 1P side as well, we work with quite a few. Typically in the CPG space, we do a mix of durable goods, those things, but CPG is a large basis of our clients on the 1P side. In reality, a lot of the optimization elements that we're doing, whether it's the front end of the listing or the back end attributes, all of those elements are fairly common regardless of category of what you need to do to really achieve those scores and enhance that conversion. As far as low-hanging fruit, I think investing, one of the biggest elements is investing in that primary image. And so typically in photography, it has such a high bearing. Unless you're a highly recognizable brand, your product image is your first and maybe only impression to a shopper if you're trying to capture market share. And so investing in that product imagery, whether that's a high quality studio shots, or in many cases now 3D render is used by a lot of brands that are photorealistic. And the advantage of 3D render is that you can use it, once it's rendered, you can use it in multiple types of instances. And so enhancing or getting a great first image is one of the low-hanging fruit elements there. And then just thinking through what are those benefits you're speaking to. I showed some examples of simple slides that show, it's just a one color background with a couple icons. Even that, calling out features and benefits, use up the real estate Walmart gives you. At least 5 images. You can use way more than that. You can use 10 or more, but at least fill up that image stack is a couple of the elements that we'd recommend. And then just making sure you've actually at least covered the bases when we talked about key features, at least have 4 bullets, at least have 5 to 10 reviews. We hear sometimes that is a kind of a chicken or the egg question of should we invest in reviews if we're not yet ranking or seeing sales, those kind of things. Social proof is key to that conversion, to click through and conversion. And so getting good reviews, quality reviews, is one of those low-hanging fruit elements as well. So at least 10 to 20 reviews is ideal. So if you have a good image, good title, 10 to 20 reviews at a 4.5 or higher, you're well on your way towards optimization. And then the last one, I think, is just don't ignore the backend attributes. That's the one I think most suppliers probably are sleeping on, and that's hurting them in search.
Yeah, good stuff. The last question I had was really kind of about the future as you see it. And I'm going to use another question from Jeff to kind of seed that, I guess. Jeff's question is, given the scorecard weights you discussed, is Walmart saying to suppliers that winning trips is more important today, at least, than comps? And so answer that question, but answer it through maybe with the perspective for what does the future look like? Where are we headed directionally?
So with regard to where we're headed in e-commerce and where we're headed in an omni-channel environment.
I think that broadly, and then any sort of insight you can provide with respect to Walmart.com specifically.
Okay. Yeah. So I think the goal for e-commerce brands and where we're headed is in an e-commerce space, while retail brands, Walmart-owned retail brands, are still going to be likely the featured brands in many ways and gain the lion's share. Now in the open omni-channel market of Walmart.com, retail brands are going to be not only needing to learn how to play the e-commerce game, meaning how to optimize and capture shoppers and winning there online, but they're going to have to fend off new entrants into the market that are challenger brands that are dedicated to the e-commerce methodology and have become experts at it. And so when we think broadly speaking, when you think of some of the emerging brands out here, not to go too broad or too theoretical, but when you see things like the question being asked, are content creators the new brand makers? So with Mr. Beast just announced, the press article I saw today, Mr. Beast, a YouTube sensation, he's seeking a valuation now of 1.5 billion. Came from beginning in YouTube and social media as a content creator. So brands that are becoming savvy in creating content, getting conversion, building awareness in the e-commerce platform are going to be realistic challengers to classic retail brands. And so when you think about it from that context, the goal of not fully pivoting to e-commerce, but to considering e-commerce as a part of your overall strategy to at least cover the bases of seeing what is your competition doing in best practice to optimize. Customer shopper sentiment is being determined by a lot of shoppers these days as we get Gen Z and others by their online presence, not just their historical presence of the brand. And so being aware of that and being prepared to optimize for e-commerce is a key strategy for Walmart. I don't know if I'm fully answering your question, Jeff, and if it translates into not coming from a retail first position myself. I would ask maybe for a little clarification on the difference between trips and comps and speak there. Yeah.
Fair enough. Ryan, forgive me. This has never happened before. I just looked at the clock and I can't believe we're already at, over an hour. So I got wrapped up in the presentation and completely lost track of time. This has been so good. I will just, I'll give you the last word if you have one, but I want to make sure that we don't wrap up before we've had an opportunity to share Ryan's contact information. The best way to reach them is at BlueRyse.com. The email address is connect@BlueRyse.com. And then as you see on the screen here, if you want to schedule a follow-up, a quick 15-minute conversation, introductory conversation, where you can talk about your business and what needs that you might have and how Ryan and his team at Bluerise might be able to help you, just go to conversationsonretail.com/start-conversations. There's a link for it in the header. You can schedule a 15-minute conversation with Ryan and introduce yourself and see if there's an opportunity to do some business. Ryan will give you the last word, but again, thank you so much for making the time for this.
Matt, thank you so much. And we're happy you covered it well. And for the sake of time, I'll just say, yes, if there are any questions, feel free to reach out. We love talking about this. We love educating others and helping others. We want to see brands perform well. The great thing of working with brands with Walmart is we know they're already high quality products. And so it's all about just representing that to the shopper. So if there's anything else we can do to help, even if that's just answering a couple of questions, or if you're interested in further in what we do in our managed services, we're happy to talk to anyone. So thank you again for the time, and I look forward to talking with you all again in the future.
Ryan King from Bluerise, thank you so much. Talk to you again very soon. Have a great day.